Morning, Mortgage Coach community. My name is Joe Puthur. I'm the president of Mortgage Coach. It's a pleasure today to welcome Roberto and Jason and Chik as our co-hosts for today's event as we cover a wide variety of topics, but really important topics for what's going on in the market right now and really your ability to maximize your footprint as not just mortgage professionals but mortgage advisors. Again, I'm Joe Puthur, president of Mortgage Coach. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. Make sure you fan our fan page, and always feel free to reach out to me directly with your feedback, your suggestions, or your input, especially on our products. We in the development team here work very, very hard to ensure that our innovations are helping you meet your most immediate needs today. Before we get started and I hand it over to Roberto, I want to make sure everyone remembers what's really important as an opportunity for the few hundred of us that are on this conversation, and that's that this August, some of the changes that are happening in the point of sale conversation are not just important to our consumers, but they're also important to the realtors that we all work to service. And so remember, today everyone gets a GFE. Tomorrow, everyone is getting this new loan comparison type of documentation. And on this third page of this document, there are several new numbers, two of which are very, very important to everyone here on the call. That is the cost over 5 years, as the CFPB interprets it, and total interest percentage, or TIP, which every consumer and, of course, every realtor is now going to see. And when you combine that with collateralized underwriting and some of the other challenges that the realtor community are going to go through, a lot of the strategies that Roberto and Chik are going to cover are critical to ensuring that you're not like everyone else and that you maintain this lead. And Mortgage Coach has really given you this leap forward in the conversation because of the mobile presence and the ability to show true total cost. So remember, the way that the CFPB, even the new forms that have been generated, it still focuses very much on price. Everyone on this call has the ability to deliver advice, and I think when we look at online reputation here in a few minutes, and when we look at the ability to run a successful sales summit with realtor partners, making sure that everyone in that conversation understands the impact that advice can have, especially when you look at TRID and all of these, the new disclosure kind of conversation, we really have to be prepared to help them overcome this TIP dialogue. The realtor is very, very concerned with making sure that affordability is clear and they get solid offers quickly on each of the homes. Many of you service communities where 48 hours makes a huge difference. You want your realtors to put an iPad up, to put your presentation up, to put your total cost analysis up, and to have people request that conversation with you. This is a true opportunity, as you'll hear Roberto speak to, because the realtor is used to mobile conversations. They're being inundated with consumers who have confusion. They're seeing old listings on Zillow. They're seeing bad information on Redfin. But your information, the mortgage content that you provide with their branding and your data from the Mortgage Coach platform is outside of all of this confusion. And it makes it really exciting for the realtor to have the conversation. I think it's important, too, to remember that when you get a presentation presented to a realtor, you get the same type of alerts that you do when you give it to a consumer. And I think a lot of folks forget that when you send a presentation to a realtor, it's going to come up on your iPhone and say, Julie Smith is watching that presentation. And so when you think about the TILA changes and you think about the opportunity, you really have 4 or 5 months right now, the hottest part of the buying season, the summer buying season. This is the time that you can really get realtors to switch their loyalty and align with you, and this is the time that you can defend your existing referral partners against other people who are preparing for this very same transition. The majority of loan professionals are not going to be ready for that conversation, and the majority of loan professionals are not speaking to folks on the mobile device. And I think many of you, although not all of you, have really embraced the Mortgage Coach mobile presentation. Please remember that it is for everyone, not just millennials. Everyone likes video. As Roberto will explain, utilizing video is critical in modern conversations, but that's not just for one demographic. It is for everybody. And just take note that folks between 50 and 64 2 years ago making $75K or more already had smart devices in their pocket. Today, that number is even more prevalent, well over 75%. So when you brand yourself, when you brand your realtor, when you show them that you can deliver that advice on the mobile phone, it makes all the difference in the world. And for those of you who haven't experienced narrating video for a variety of reasons, maybe webcams or different things on your desktops at work, this is all going to be a challenge of the past, because coming up in just a few weeks, you're going to be able to record your Mortgage Coach videos from your mobile device. So you'll be able to open the app. You're going to be able to see your list of all of the presentations that you've produced. You're going to be able to touch video, and you're going to be able to add the video narration from your mobile device. So independent of creating the presentations, you're now going to be able to narrate from everywhere. So with that being said, being able to put your voice and your video in front of your realtor partner, in front of the families that you service, you're going to be able to do that at any point in time, and that's going to, of course, help you influence your most important point, and that's your personal reputation, your referenceability, the ability for people to bring business to you, both realtors and families you work with. So with that being said, I can't emphasize enough how exciting it is to see some of the new strategies on online reputation. I always found this cartoon funny. I mean, everyone is always Googling you professionally. And so with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Roberto, Jason, and Chik to run the rest of the call. So Roberto, take it away, my friend.
Yep, just give it a control here.
Great, Roberto. You should have it. And Roberto, pretty cool to cut the chains off of video and put it on the mobile.
Oh man,
device,
hold on,
right?
wait. Let me know when I can start. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh man, I am taking notes here, Joe, as I was explaining. I am so excited for you guys to be able to record videos with your phone, and you have a Mortgage Coach app right there, so you can skip the computer. I mean, this is phenomenal. So I'm a big-time Mortgage Coach advocate, and what Joe said, video is not a fad, it's not new. Actually, and I always tell this to everybody, that's the advice that I follow. If you're not using video now to explain what you do and talk about mortgage and total cost analysis and how you can help families, then you're the guy who is speaking Portuguese with an audience who understands Mandarin. You're going to become irrelevant. And I know it sounds harsh, but that's the truth. If I don't use video specifically, Robert Monaco, Influencology, I am becoming irrelevant. I will. So that's why the addition to be able to record video on your smartphone, Joe, is just phenomenal. Congratulations. And one of the lines here that you said, you use a Mortgage Coach, you want to be doing these things, provide advice because you don't want to be like anybody else. And my talk today, I'm probably going to spend around 25 minutes here to 30 minutes. I want to help you to deliver value in closing more loans with group presentations. Now, video is one form of group presentation, right? Because you record a video and then you send to your list or you put it on a website, whatever, then you can have a lot of people watching. I think video is just awesome. I'm a big-time advocate, and you have to do it. I know Jeremy Forcier does, I don't know, hundreds of videos, Mortgage Coach videos every week. I'm gonna also, in addition to encourage you guys to do group presentations. Why? I just want you guys to think with me that when you do group presentations, speaking could be lunch and learns, when you do realtor events in your office, when you go to their office and speak, you're going to be able to do three things, three goals, three benefits. Number one, generate more leads. Number two, automatically create expert positioning. That's why Mortgage Coach is so powerful, because when you record these videos and explain to them, you add a narrative, you're really providing truly expert communication, expert positioning. Just like public speaking, traditional public speaking you can do. And most important, I hope that my small talk today, my 30 minutes, that's going to allow you to experience a psychological shift. Because for you to embrace Mortgage Coaching, embrace speaking, embrace communication, you don't have to change who you are at all. I want to inspire you so that you can expand who you are. That's the idea. Quickly, get a pen and paper. I have a very before I start, a couple questions for you, okay? Quick exercise. Got a pen and paper. I'm going to wait 10 seconds here. Pen and paper. Answer these questions. Who is a great business leader that you admire and trust? Write down a name, please. Who is a great spiritual leader that you admire and trust? Who is a great political leader that you admire and trust? So you should have 3 names real quick. Please do it, do it, do it. This is important. Do it. Who is a great community leader that you admire and trust? And who is a great leader in the real estate and mortgage industry that you admire and trust? So you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 names. This is important. I'm trying to set up the whole call here. All right, so you have that. So I want you guys to look at these 5 names. And question number 1, do these leaders communicate their message to groups of people? All right, and I hope I could see your hands and say, yeah, they do. Number 2, have you ever heard or saw these speakers on TV, maybe a live presentation, maybe radio, maybe video, maybe podcast? I'm sure you're saying, yeah, I've seen it. So what's the theme here? What's the theme? This is something that I want you guys to walk away from my class today. My 30 minutes is this, is that public speaking equals leadership. Recording a video mortgage coach or communicating through video is leadership. All the tools you're doing, providing advice, using mortgage coach video, if you're doing a workshop, ultimately, they all funneling you and your intentions and your brand to become a leadership position in your marketplace. So when people think in terms of financing, home financing, mortgages, your name pops up. That's the idea. I always tell clients it is not about public speaking at all. It's about public leading. In your case, to lead your marketplace effectively. So Roberto, what I'm talking about, I'm talking for you to be the center of attention here. Either you communicate online to mortgage coach videos to your realtors and consumers directly to their phones, or I encourage you guys both offline. You can do communication direct to consumer or communication direct to realtors. I have clients who do both, and I encourage you guys to do both, online, offline, to consumers and to realtors and for partners. I want to give you very simple 5 steps to get more loans with group presentations. Specifically, today's call, if you're doing, let's say, if you do masterminds in your office, if you want to speak for a real estate office, if you're invited to speak in a networking event. So I want to show 5 quick steps that you got to follow to make sure you transform these presentations into more leads and more loans. Number 1 is very simple. Define the problems that you're solving. And look, if you and I are in a business of solving problems, and if every communication, every mortgage coach video that you record, if all you do, I want you to always talk about the problem or the need or the challenge, always, because that's the only reason you and I should be communicating. Now, you want to do this elegantly, right? So the audience doesn't feel like pain, but you always, in your communication, always think like this: what is the problem that I'm solving right now? Is there confusion? Is lack of clarity? There's no reason for you or me to communicate if you don't solve a problem. So before you do a workshop, before you do a meeting in your company, before you do a lunch and learn, always ask yourself, what's the problem trying to solve? Now, what I do specifically to figure out my target's problems, here's the things that I do. One-on-one interview. So basically, this is like you talking to your realtor. That's very simple. Here, the second idea here, I'm telling you, the majority, the 90+% of people don't do it, which is crazy for me. If you do any type of speaking to realtors, I want you to create a very simple survey, anywhere from 5 to 7 questions, and a survey that does not require name and or email, anonymous survey, because now people want to be open to answer. And then every speaking that you do in your office or outside, you say, look, I really want to learn more about your outcomes, and can you take 2 minutes to answer survey? I'm telling you, I have thousands of content ideas, of problems people want to be solved, because I have been surveying people all the time. And I'm telling you, when you create a survey, and which is free, you can use SurveyMonkey or Survey Gizmo or Google Drive, I will tell you, it's not like when you send, let's say you're speaking for a group of real estate office, and you talk to the broker, and the broker say, yeah, I need some help with VA loans, or maybe I want some help with lead generation. You say, Mr. Jones, I would love to come to office and speak for 50 minutes. I have created this anonymous survey. Is there any way you can send to your agents so that they can tell me specific what's going on? Now, I'm telling you, this is powerful. If the law of commitment and consistency will kick in, and what's going to happen is that just for the fact that they fill out a very simple survey is going to increase the likelihood of them showing up your talk. Really powerful. Number two, now you have data and you have ideas for your talk. I have a database, in addition to, I have a database of questions, which also most people don't do. Every day you have consumers, you have realtors asking questions through every single day. So what I do, I have a database, I use Evernote, and every question people ask me, guess what, I capture. Why? Because these questions eventually become video content, becomes workshops, and becomes talks. That's the idea. Or you can find the problems with the future trends associations. So the idea is for you, for example, here's the actual screenshot of I use content ideas. I use Evernote. The reason I like Evernote is because it syncs to my phone and syncs to my computer. If I'm having a conversation and let's say Joe asks me, Roberto, how can I do this? I capture. Why? Because you can use mortgage coach tools, or you can do workshops to answer these questions, and really, like Joe said, you position yourself differently so that you are not that person. So create the habit. Okay, create the habit of having a file. Could be an old school notebook. I recommend online because you don't lose it. A file of questions, and you capture, and you capture, and you capture. So here's an example of a survey that I use, and I ask people outcomes, and very simple. By the way, you can create a survey for your either to realtors or consumers. Takes like 10 minutes, guys, and you can reuse it over and over and over again. And this is actually, I black out the name of a client, but you can see here timestamp or April 6th. That was yesterday. So here's, I blacked out the name of my client here to preserve his privacy. But basically, I ask stuff. Right? What are you trying to accomplish? Why? Because just because when people answer, now I know they're going to show up. Now they're going to know their message is even more engaging. So step number one is very simple, is figure out, okay, what is the problem trying to solve? I always think in terms of this, any communication. Like this communication today is this. I want to try to solve the problem of getting more loans, right? Now, obviously, there's different ways. This is one more way. And when it comes to speaking, here's something that I encourage you guys, that speaking has been around for 2,500 years, and for the next 2,500 years, they're going to be here. So in addition to all the, and when you talk about video is speaking. So they kind of like, they supplement each other. Step number two, you want to market your event. And when it comes to marketing your event, let's say you're doing an event in your office for 10, 15 consumers or realtors. It's like marketing an event is like boxing. Boxing, if you watch 1,000 boxing matches, 1,000, okay, it's not like the match starts, a guy comes in and punches, the fight's over. Now, that happened with Mike Tyson back then, but statistically speaking, if you watch 1,000 matches, they're going to exchange a lot of blows, and then eventually what happens? You have one punch who connects through. Sometimes they go 12 rounds and nothing happens. The idea is that it's not one thing, it's accumulation of punches that get the other guy tired, and eventually one punch connected, and you're able to say, okay, I win the fight. And when it comes to event marketing, if you're doing, I do a combination of things. And I do, for example, emails, which is very simple, phone calls, there's a lot of power in calling. I do YouTube video marketing. I always record videos promoting my events. I try to gather leads during the event. So let's say you were doing an in-house workshop for lenders about XYZ or monthly mastermind. Now, in the end of the workshop, I encourage you to get referrals to refer more lenders or more consumers, right? Facebook ads, another, if you haven't played around, is a super, super easy way, I feel, to target people in your market. Social media, obviously it's kind of broad term here, but I get my message out. referral partners, who are the people that can help you promote your events. Speaking or promoting, it's kind of like I always say yes to presentation opportunities to speak everywhere, and obviously video testimonials. Let's say you're doing a realtor presentation in your office, and let's say 5 people show up, or let's say 4 realtors show up. Great. In the end, ask, do you like my class today? Mr. Jones, do you mind record a 3-minute video talking about the class we did today? And now you have 3 people talking great about your class. So the next class now, you go from 4 to 6 to 10, 15. That's the idea. So here's one of the videos. I feel embarrassed and proud at the same time. Let me tell you why. So this is one of the events that some of you have heard it, some of you have participated. I do this public speaking class in San Diego. So I recorded these videos 4 years ago. Think about that. Now, I'm embarrassed because at that time, I didn't have gray hair. Now I have some, right? So it's kind of like, come on, Roberto, it's time to change your video. So I'm embarrassed for that, 4 years. I'm proud of it. Why? Because it's pure leverage. So the idea of Mortgage Coach tried to get you guys record videos. And we did a call with Dave Savage, I'd say 4 months ago, and the number of you that are recording videos like 50%. Should be 100%. Video is not fad. Video is not for the young people. It's like people who like to consume information. So I hope to inspire you that if you're not recording, look, if you don't believe in video marketing on video, stop watching TV. Why people watching TV? Right? Because it's simple. So I want to make sure you use a Mortgage Coach fully and embrace the feature of recording video. So this video, guys, imagine this. I recorded 4 years ago, and I still making money every month. Something I did 4 years ago. Right? So that's the power of leverage, and Mortgage Coach offers you guys amazing leverage tools. Now, step number 3, present your solution. Now, obviously, if I know their problem and solution, I market my event, and now I want to present my solution for their problems using presentation structure. Obviously, we don't have a lot of time for me to get into it today because I spend 8 hours in my class, but I want to give some at least a foundation. This is kind of like when I present, I always follow this theme: opening, pre-frame, body, pre-close. Quickly, opening is how I engage a crowd. Pre-frame is how I position my message and my outcomes and their outcomes. And the body is the meat of a presentation. Okay. So one of the things that I want you guys to take away from this part here is this: that every time you're talking to one realtor, one consumer, every time you're doing a video, every time you're doing a webinar, every time you're doing a lunch and learn, every time you're doing a workshop, a presentation, a real estate office, think in terms of this framework. You introduce the problem, and you can do that by asking a question, by telling a story, by maybe showing statistics. You create impact. How does that problem impact their business, maybe their personal lives, maybe their attitude, maybe their emotions? And then, only then, you talk about the solution, and then you want to talk about the benefit, and you want to prove it through stories and case studies. So one of the things that you can do for your career is start creating a storytelling database, okay? Because even when you record Mortgage Coach videos and you try to record, 2-3 minutes, the video format, that's a perfect time length. You always want to give a quick example. And your transition should be, here's a quick example. I had a client who, and just go into it. So you want to be able to have several examples in every communication, which I'm going to give you some examples of my clients who do workshops. Some of the loan officers, they're big hitters, and some of it, you may recognize some of them. Anyway, so make sure you use the framework. Step 4, then you want to maximize your presentation event. So how do you maximize, Roberto? That's like when you were in front of when you are actually delivering the message. Number 1, close. Always make sure you close from an appointment. Always have a close. Number 2, use the workshops to talk about Mortgage Coach mobile applications, and I think Jason and Chik is going to, because they are experts, the loan officers here, we're going to give some ideas. But also the last call, I think we have a couple of gentlemen, Bill Gaylord, which also came to my class. He's talking about Mortgage Coach Mobile, so you guys can watch the recording. So take the time, because look, yes, everybody's on the phone. Yes, everybody's watching, getting the texts and getting the emails. But you tell me, when's the last time you had 30 minutes or 50 minutes of captive audience with nothing going on, full attention on you. That's why speaking, obviously I'm biased because I do a lot, but I'm telling you, everybody can do it, is because literally there is no competition. You have 30 minutes, so then do a mortgage coach mobile demonstration for them. Explain the benefits. Why? Because now there's no excuse. Let's say, hey, pull your phone right now, let me show how easy it is. Right? Take your time to explain. Also, maximize your, and I'm going to repeat in here, maximize your workshops when you deliver a class. Ask for, always bring a camera and ask for testimonials. Why? To have you promote the next time. Because a lot of people say, oh, Roberto, when you do workshops, when you speak, they call whales, right? You guys call whales. The big guys, they're too busy. That's not true. I just talked to one of my friends here, Paul Johnson. He did a class a month ago, had 70 realtors. He spoke for an hour and has several big guys there. So this idea that whales or big realtors don't show up, that's not accurate, right? 100%. And what's going to allow them to come, you just get one whale to a class or big realtor. Now guess what? They do a testimonial. Oh yeah? Now guess what? It's going to help you influence other realtors to show up to your class or to have you speak for them. Okay. Another way to maximize your class is to figure out about what the audience wants, future topics and needs. One of the things that I'm very aware, you want to use every speaking opportunity. Okay, guys, this is important. Write this down. To promote your brand before, during, and after. So before, hey, so and so, I'm providing a lunch and learn in our office this Wednesday. Right? So promote. During the lunch and learn, as you're speaking, have someone in your team take a picture and blast it out, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Oh, John is delivering a class right now. And after, you can do a collection of pictures or videos and promoting again. So every speaking opportunity is an opportunity for you to promote before, during, and after. Right? And obviously, you can also record, if you're more advanced, you can have someone record a meeting, and then you can create a little private membership and you say and have other realtors in your area to opt in to your database to get your presentation. So there's a lot of advanced stuff here. I know I'm going super fast, but I'll make sure inspire. For example, obviously, in addition to work with a lot of loan officers, one of my new niches for the last 2 years has been chiropractors. I do a lot of work for them. So how do I build up my list of chiropractors? It's the same thing like if you're a loan officer. How do you build up a list of CPAs or how do you build up a list of financial planners? Do the same strategy. I record a presentation. I actually pay $1,000. A videographer came and recorded. Great. So now I have a killer 2-hour talk. I put a page and now I'm promoting. I say, hey, learn how to close more patients, whatever, today. So now I deliver the video, but now I'm building up my list. You can have a list for VA. You can have a list for home improvement. You can have a list for investors. You can have a list for, you can build up a list. So all you got to do is record a presentation. How easy is that? Look, develop presentation. Most of the mortgage companies that I've been, you guys have a meeting space. Go have 4 or 5 people record the talk. It can become a killer lead magnet for you as well. Another way to do it. I record a video with the Edge before, so if you type it up, Roberto, I have a video there so you can see. I actually give some tips on video marketing. And step number 5, guys, make sure you have an effective follow-up system for your event, because a lot of times you put all this time, energy, learning about the people's challenges and problems, putting the events together, presenting effectively, maximize the meeting. You want to make sure you have a follow-up system on the phone. When I follow up on the phone, via email, I record a video to my audience to try to take them one-on-one appointment now. So make sure you do it. The most important part of the whole thing is a follow-up, so make sure you have a strong follow-up system in place. So here, a couple of the people that I have coached in the past, or they have come to my classes, Dixie, I'm sure she's a big-time producer. She does every month she does lunch and learn. And then you have Garrick up in California. He speaks for the association pretty much every month. And then you have my buddy here, Alex Reginides, San Diego. He does masterminds. He does speaking outside events. We have Jeremy Fortier. Obviously, that's me and Jeremy speaking. We did this event in Pentaluma. He had, I don't know, 200 people there. And he's a great guy. I love Jeremy. Craig Sewin, you know, my buddy, do events together. He's actually a picture of the events that we did here in San Diego, and he had a bunch of realtors. Again, obviously he does radio. He has a marketing power, but there's another guy doing events. Here's our last couple, that was in March, one of my clients, Jason Gordon, too, doing an event here in front of, I don't know, 100-plus realtors. Remember, obviously, mobile is really powerful, and you want to be doing mobile. In addition to, you want to add to your game. If you're not doing outside events, that's your chance for you to be in front of, I don't know, 100, 200 realtors, and you have capped eyeballs on you. There's no distraction. It's really powerful. And here's, I know Bill Gaylord, he came here, I think last month or last week, and spoke. I love the guy. And I actually spoke for one of his events. He's a great speaker. So again, all these guys who are doing, they're not doing one order, they're doing both. An idea, remember like the boxing analogy I gave you, is not one or another. Incorporate events with your mobile application and strategy so you can crush it, the market. Speaking requires effort. I know it does, and I'm not going to lie to you. It takes time, takes energy. It doesn't. But you know what I realized after 12 years? Not speaking requires a lot of effort because now we got to justify to our team members, to our wife, to our kids, why we're not there, why we don't make the money that we want to make. So if I think it takes more effort, not justifying. So I encourage you guys to do it. If you want to learn more about how I can help you, there's just one website that I want you guys to go. It's called Influencing for the Front. I do 6 events a year. Have a lot of loan officers. The top guys in the country came to the class. I do a 3-day event, a public speaking presentation. If it's something that if you feel that you want to incorporate and add to your business, I'd love to serve you. If it's Roberto, I'm never going to be doing speaking to groups of 2-3 people or webinars or videos, then I'm not your guy. And then there's a testimonial. Actually, I have like 100 testimonials of loan officers, but I just put Bill here because he spoke 2 weeks ago. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. 30 minutes. Joe, thanks so much. I'm looking forward to listen to Chik and Jason right now. Appreciate you guys.
No, thanks, Roberto. And before I transition to Chik and Jason, real quick, when you think of, there's a lot of folks on the line here who have followed some of your advice. You've been a speaker a number of times, but given some of what I shared about the timing, right? This big change in our industry in August. For folks here who have not walked into a realtor office or really created a lunch and learn out of nothing. Any quick advice to the folks who this is new? And again, you've got a lot of folks on the line who have done 3, 4, 5 units a month and are really aspiring to hit that 15 number.
Okay. So I would say this: start small and go big. Me personally, here's something that I know. Every mortgage company that I've seen pretty much has a meeting room, and you interview the current realtors you have, and ask them, man, I know you're working your goals this year. What are maybe 2 or 3 things that you think you haven't mastered yet that you want to learn, or what's lacking, and then they're gonna tell you. You literally develop a half an hour, 45-minute presentation, and you start there. Do the first one. You don't have to start big. Start with 2 or 3 to get the confidence up, and then from there, you record it, you improve it. Then the next time you do, the next month or so, you're going to have 5 people. And then maybe the third time you're going to have 10. And now people are like, you know what? I love your presentation. Can you come to my office and do a talk? So the whole speaking idea is you got to start small. Look, when I was Tony Robbins, my career, I done talks for 2 people. I literally walking in, drove to accomplish 2 people. You start small and go big. That's the idea. Or if you decide to incorporate events, is like nobody starts like speaking for 100 people. That's not about that. Start small and go big.
Well, I appreciate that, Roberto. I think the audience does too. And again, to everyone here, I hope that you're inspired to have that initial conversation and to use your ability to reach out and inspire the realtors in your community. So with that being said, when you think about inspiration, making sure that when people find you that they're inspired to reach you is part of that game as well. So your online reputation matters, and with that, Jason and Chik help us improve our online reputation.
Great, thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. This is Jason, and I'm going to start off here and kind of hand it off to Chik. But just on the heels of what Roberto said, I think the theme of the entire call today for all of you is we're really talking about how can you change the way that you do business? And, you know, for many of us, I've been in the business for 16 years now. Chik's been in it a little longer. And the reality is a lot of us have been successful for a long time without doing video, without doing events with realtors, without worrying about our online reputation. And the fact is the times are changing, and we've got to change with it or we're going to be left behind. I'm in more of a management role now. I've got about 80 loan originators that I work with, and I get a lot of pushback on, you know, people wanting to continue to do what has always worked in the past. So I just challenge those of you on the call here today. Hopefully you can take away one or two ideas that will allow you to change and move forward and improve your business. I'm going to talk a little bit about positioning yourself as an advisor because that's really been a differentiation strategy for me in my career. And then I'm going to hand it over to Chik to really talk about creating that strong online presence, which he's an expert at. So Chik and I are in different locations, and so I'm going to be prompting him to move the slides. Chik, if you'd advance the slide for me. We want to start off with a quote here from Warren Buffett, who said it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. If you think about that, you'll do things differently. And I want to share a recent example from my own mortgage practice with you because it just fits so well with this quote. I got a client that I've done loans with for, I want to say 15 years, and we last did a refinance a little bit over a year ago and hit a few bumps in the process. We got it closed, but we closed a little late, and it could have gone better. So he reached out to me recently because he's buying a new home, and thankfully we had enough of a history together that he was willing to give me another shot. But honestly, I have done nothing but be reminded during this loan process of how we screwed up the last time. So I say that because this quote is so true. I didn't quite spend 20 years, but 15, and just one example potentially harmed that relationship. So it's really important, especially with the prevalence of our online footprint these days, to really make sure we're taking the time to understand who we are and what our unique value proposition is, and then making sure that online footprint is there to support that. So Chik, if you'll advance the slide for me. Really, we're talking about positioning. And when you think about it, at the end of the day, there are really only two fundamental business strategies. And I want you to take just a couple of seconds and maybe jot down what you think those two strategies are. At the end of the day, there's really only two. So when we talk about positioning, we're going to talk about what those two are for a moment. And Chik, if you'll advance the slide again. The first one is being a price leader, and this is really about being a commodity. I would venture to guess that most of you on the call, because you're on the call, are at least making an effort to move in the direction of the second strategy. But if we stay on this one for a minute, being a price leader just means I've got the lowest cost in the marketplace, and I'm going to win business despite everything else because I'm lowest cost. I don't know how many of you on the call might work for banks versus mortgage bankers versus mortgage brokers, but the one consistent thing for all of us is this is not something that we typically control. Outside of your ability to maybe tweak your comp plan a little bit depending on your company, being a price leader is beyond your control. So if you choose to play in this space, you're turning over to someone else the ability to dictate the amount of business that you're going to do. The alternative, Chik, if you'll advance the slide, is to not be a price leader, but to position yourself as an advisor, a trusted advisor, and this is what we refer to as a differentiation strategy. So those two business strategies are cost leadership and differentiation. You've got to pick one. I'm sure we can all think of companies in other businesses that have chosen the cost leadership role. When I ask this question of originators, I usually hear Walmart, maybe McDonald's. Those are the price leaders. You can think of companies that differentiate. So in the retail space, we've got Nordstrom, who differentiates based on service, based on their return policies. And you can think of probably people in financial services who would qualify. So one thing I wrote down that Roberto said was the first thing he wants you to do is to identify what is the problem that you are solving. That question is what an advisor does, where a cost leader doesn't necessarily problem solve. All they're interested in doing is getting you the lowest price. What's your rate on a 30-year fixed? Here's my fee sheet. Do you want fries with that? That's the cost leadership approach. We're talking about being advisors who differentiate. We also, Roberto pointed this out, need to maximize our presentation. And that's where Mortgage Coach plays a fundamental role in my ability to differentiate myself as an advisor. So I'm going to ask you on the call to think for a minute about what your unique value proposition is. Okay, what makes you unique? Because if I'm going to use you for a loan, why should I use you for the loan? What is it that makes you different than, there's 187 people on the call, what makes you different from the other 186? Chik, if you'll advance the slide. I'm going to share my unique value proposition with you guys that I came up with years ago, and again, I've used Mortgage Coach as probably the #1 tool to help me execute on this proposition, which is I'm going to deliver massive value by selling advice rather than price, and by educating consumers about the best mortgage solution to assist them in achieving their short and long-term financial goals. I don't sell loans, I sell advice, and I can't do it without understanding my customer and their big financial picture and how we can integrate the mortgage into that plan. So if you don't have a unique value proposition, guys, you need to come up with one, because that's where you start from and figure out, how can I execute on that? Maybe you execute using the Lunch and Learns, the video communication, Mortgage Coach, a combination of all those pieces. But you've got to know what makes you special, what makes you different. The reality is I consistently get clients to do business with me when I am more expensive than my competition. And the biggest, and I'm not the most expensive in the marketplace, but I sure as heck am not the cheapest. And the reality is I've had people pay as much as $12,000 more to use me on a mortgage because I delivered value. And I educated them about that value through Mortgage Coach. So Chik, if you'll advance the slide, please. So what's your personal positioning perspective? Okay, that's hard to say, but really what we're talking about is that you've got to create a new mindset to lead to a new result. I started off by saying, what is it that makes, that you've decided that you're going to do in this business to change? How can you get better? If you presumably want to grow your business, you can't just look in the rearview mirror and do what you've done over the last 6 months. You've got to change something now, and that starts with a new mindset. Let's go ahead and advance the slide, Chik. So changing your language will result in you positively changing your business. And I'm going to give you just a couple of quick examples, and then we're really going to get into how you can use an online reputation strategy to help you. So the first one is, it's not a client meeting anymore, it's a strategy session. The next one, it's not mortgage rate options, it's a mortgage plan. And the third one, there isn't a third one. So those are the two. So again, favorite tool in the arsenal that I used it for years. I use it with every single customer. And just to give you an endorsement on this, guys, I brought a guy into the business about 1.5 years ago. He came from completely outside of financial services. And he does not know how to send out a fee worksheet. He is incapable of sending out a fee worksheet. The only way he knows how to communicate with our clients is through Mortgage Coach. And we consistently get that wow feedback from our customers. I've never seen anything like this. So those of you on the call that are using it sometimes, I'm really challenging you. Take your game up, use it every time. Incorporate video, all of the things that we're talking about here, and then wrap an online reputation around it. Chik, can you advance the slide, please? So you've earned the right to receive positive feedback, and at this point I'm going to hand the conversation over to Chik, because he's really the expert at understanding what it takes to build that critical online reputation to support that trusted advisor position that you've taken. Chik?
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Great, thank you. All right, good. So we want to talk about converting that client experience and getting really good positive feedback, and why that client and partner feedback is critical to your business. And when you think about it, you know, you've done all this work in creating all this value. You want to get some feedback on it, whether it's good or bad. Most likely it'll be good if you did your work, but how do you translate that into positive feedback, and why is that important? Well, the first thing is, you know, in the very beginning, even if you've got a strong referral from a real estate agent or a past client, people are going to be vetting you out online. So you kind of think about, you know, from your own behaviors too. If you need a legal advice, for example, and someone gives you an attorney's name, you know, what's the first thing you do? I know my habits. I go online and I'm going to check them out. I just want to see what they're all about. They seem legitimate. They've got a good reputation, and if they look like an authority, someone who's going to be able to help me. And it's no different with you as well. So they're going to check you out online, and you know, what are they going to find on there? So statistics, and this came from Nielsen. You know, 9 out of 10 internet users search for local products, services, and business online, and 4 out of 5 have received advice, you know, via social media regarding the company, product, or service. And nearly 80% of consumers trust peer recommendations versus advertisements, which is under 15%. So you can see that those recommendations are really strong, whether it's verbal or online. So you think about star ratings when you're looking at ratings online, and you know, I think the best way, you know, particularly for this community, is to equate with FICO scores. So if you can imagine that, you know, 5-star rating is equivalent to a 780 score. So you think about, you know, when you run that credit report for the very first time on your client, and you know, you see a 780 plus, you know, you're good to go. You've got a good feeling that this is going to be a strong loan. And then you go down to 4-star for a 720. A 3-star rating is like a 680, and then all the way down to a 1-star, which is a 580, which really sheds a negative light on that prospect. So what if, you know, you think about, what if, for example, if someone was vetting you and we had a system where you hit your, rather than star ratings, you had like a public FICO online. And I'm about to throw Jason on the bus here. So what if someone did this, and this is what showed up? You know, it's pretty eye-opening, but you know, this doesn't look really good for Jason in this situation. Sorry, Jason, but
how long did it take you to make up those reviews?
We've got a lot of history together, so it was pretty fast actually. So, but rather than this, you know, wouldn't you rather see this instead? So it's kind of, you know, the same way. 5 stars. This is like a 5-star review, except it's translated to FICO score. But in reality, when you're doing that, you know, that search, the branded search, which we'll talk about in a second, you know, this is what you want to see. You want to see, you know, ideally 5-star ratings across the board. So if you think about, again, your own behavior, and you take a look at, you know, when you're shopping on Amazon or any of these other places looking for a trip, you know, how much do those reviews influence you? And, you know, just talking to other people and looking at my own behaviors, they influence you a lot. So, you know, it's no different when it comes to our business as well. So if you're looking at 2 LOs, for example, you've got an LO on the right with a 2-star rating and some really poor reviews versus the LO on the left, the LO on the left versus the LO on the right, who's got 5-star ratings, a lot of good feedback on, you know, different platforms. You know, who are you going to pick? I mean, the choice is pretty obvious. So one of the things you want to do before you even get started and start putting yourself in all these directories is you want to kind of think about, you know, what is your brand? You know, what do you stand for? Jason and Roberto touched upon, your unique selling proposition, or what's the problem you're trying to solve. And you want to think about what it is that you want to be known for out there. And then once you've got that defined, you want to make sure that that message is going to be consistent across all the different platforms and directories that you may be listed on, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and so on. And your brand is not a logo, and that's actually the title of Ted Matthews here, who wrote a book on it. But the brand is what others think of you. So when people hear your name and your company name, what is it that they think of you? What's your reputation like? And that's what translates into what your brand is. So you've got to have a process. You want to be proactive with your reputation. And I'll give you a quick story of years back, which kind of started me on this whole process of review gathering. I just inadvertently decided to Google myself, and lo and behold, one of the top 3 results was a really scathing review on some review site I've never heard of. And I realized that after dealing with this, and that was a blow to my ego, number one. But secondly, where did this come from, and how did this happen, and how come I missed it, and how long has it been out there for? So I was not aware of it, and this is why I decided to take a really proactive approach to not only counteract that, but to prevent that happening in the future. So, great quote by Tim Blanchard: "Feedback is the breakfast of champions." So, I think some of you probably do surveys and so on, but you also want to get a little more feedback, not only from surveys, but also getting some reviews and testimonials from clients, because you want to be able to measure the experience that you provided, but also be able to take that positive feedback and use it as a marketing tool. Question is, who do you ask? You can ask past clients. We all have a list of our best clients in the past, future clients, referral partners, even peers. But the big question is, how do you ask for reviews? And it's actually not that difficult at all. So you think about, and it's no different really from asking for a referral and introduction. So we've all been taught to, early in the process, if you're setting the expectations that, Mr. Client, I hope that we provide such great service and an experience to you that you'll happily introduce me to 3 or 4 of your friends, families, and coworkers. So you want to kind of adjust that and also add in that, also that you give us some feedback on your experience. So you want to set the table for asking them for a review later on. That referral moment. So we all know what those referral moments are. They tend to be when the client is most happiest, whether it was we got your loan approval, or the docs are out, or they just signed, or maybe a couple days after they've moved into their new home, when it's fresh in their minds. Simple script here. Hi, Jimmy, just wanted to call and congratulate you on your new home, and also thank you for choosing to do business with me and my team. I was wondering if you could do me a favor. Would you mind taking a minute or two to provide feedback on your experience with our service? Great. They all say yes. I'll email you a link right after we get off the phone. I want to note that I use the word feedback a lot. It is a better choice of words. When you ask for an actual review, you tend to get a little bit of pushback because it just sounds like work. But people are always happy to give you feedback. So again, it's just changing your language to get better results. So where are the best properties to gather reviews? And there's a bunch of them. There's literally hundreds of directories out there. I'm going to highlight some of the best ones and why you should be on there. So obviously Facebook is one. I think most of us have a Facebook fan page, and it does offer a place to gather reviews and testimonials from clients. Not the greatest platform for getting it, but it's still visible there, and all our clients and partners are on Facebook, as you already know. Google Plus is something I worked on in our old as our old company name there, but I was very proactive. This is shortly after that scathing review that I received. I got really proactive and started working on my own reputation. But Google Plus, one of the top ones, because obviously it's Google, and it's got high domain authority. You got Zillow. As you know, Zillow, many of you probably have a Zillow profile. You might be active as well. But Zillow is a great place, again, just because it's got a huge community, both from consumers visiting the site as well as in traffic from the sites, as well as all your real estate partners are probably there as well. And then there's Trulia as well, which is, as you may know, I think it's owned by Zillow now. It's also got its own platform too. So another place that you want to be. And then we got Yelp. Yelp is people have a love-hate relationship with Yelp, but it does have high domain authority. So it's a good idea to get on. You know, there's like you could do a whole class on Yelp itself, and there are classes out there. But because of its high domain authority, it's definitely one to certainly seriously consider as a platform, whether it's paid or not. Buddy Rene Rodriguez has got a nice directory specific for loan officers called betterloanofficers.com, which I highly recommend you take a visit and check that out. This is our favorite platform, which is our solution that I created, and I'll just touch upon it a little bit later on. You can see it here, Jason's been pretty active here on his. And then, of course, there's LinkedIn, which is more of LinkedIn recommendations versus star ratings and so on. But and I'm talking about the actual recommendations versus the endorsements, which endorsements are nice to get, but the recommendations are take a little bit more effort and thoughtfulness in leaving feedback to some of your peers or so on. But again, on a professional level, all of our agents and many of our clients are on LinkedIn, and it's a great place to get feedback from them too. So all these directories, before I get on his, all these directories are really important. And the question is, well, which one should I be on? And I'd say probably all of them. It's good to have a nice diversity of feedback on different platforms, but just start with one place first, where you feel most comfortable, and then you kind of build on from there. But if you've got a nice, diverse group of different directories with reviews from different places, different clients, it's a good thing to have. And obviously Yelp, you're going to have, and just a couple hints, for example, like if you want to have Google Plus, you want to direct Gmail users there because Google does have its own filter. So most likely that testimony is going to stick. Same thing with Yelp. Yelp's got that famous filter where they filter out legitimate reviews. So just kind of make sure that the person you send there has an active Yelp account, and it's most likely that their review is going to stick. So those are just a couple of little hints to make those things, to have those pull through for you. So what about poor reviews? I'm just going to touch on this real quickly. Poor reviews, the biggest mistake is that if you do receive a poor review, and it may happen, whether it's legitimate or not, it's best not to ignore it, and the best thing that you can do is actually respond to it. So if you do get a bad review, what you want to do is, don't run, don't hide. Make sure you address the review. A lot of these platforms do give you the opportunity to respond, and it just shows that you do care. So, and that you are engaged as well, that you're paying attention to your reputation. And it's a lot better than not responding at all. So I highly recommend that if this does ever happen to you, to please respond. And it could be, you could turn it into a good customer opportunity. We've had situations too where you might have received a poor review. It was addressed, and some reviews were actually then retracted. So don't ignore, don't run, don't hide. Address the situation, the problem head on. So when you think about it, what is it you're building over time? You've done, again, some of you have been in business a long time. You've got all this hard work behind you, and you want to be able to translate that into great customer testimonials, sharing their experiences with you. And you think about every single mention online, every testimonial that you received, every star rating, and what you're really doing is you're building capital in the form of, reputation capital. I'm just coining this phrase from Rachel Botsman, who had a great TED Talk. But it's the accumulation of all your reputation online, whether it's online or offline, but it's building that strong brand and getting all that social proof to build reputation capital. And as we mentioned, our favorite tool is Mortgage Coach Edge. It was funny, I was talking to Dave Savage a little bit a while ago, and I had realized, wow, it's been over 10 years since I've been using Mortgage Coach Edge. It's just been a cornerstone in every single loan transaction I've ever done, and I can't believe how far it's come. So I can't imagine. I would have loved to have the tools that we have now versus what we had back then, the old desktop application, which was still very powerful. And then our second favorite tool in the arsenal is called the Local Mortgage Review Engine. This is my solution, and if you want to find out any more about it, you can come to this website and find out more. So thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Well, thanks, Chik.
You guys did a great job. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Well, and I guess for everyone on the call, I think what's most important in taking away a number of the learnings is that you can take action on your reputation management, regardless of the number of steps that you showed. Everyone here should start. And so, knowing that, is there any first step that you think is most important to just re-highlight, Chik, when you think about, okay, you've covered a lot of content, hanging up this call, where should someone begin?
Places, just kind of take a look at, take a look at your profiles online, and if you don't have some of these directories established, like a profile on Google Plus or a Facebook fan page, you want to have a place for them to go, and then make sure that, again, you've got to dial in what your brand and what your USP is going to be, and regardless of what directory you decide to go on, Zillow, Trulia, Yelp, make sure that you completely fill out those profiles, and then make sure that your brand and message is consistent across everything, so you're always communicating the same message. And then ideally, especially if you're specialized in a niche, for example, if you're like the VA specialist, you really want to highlight that specialty, because a lot of these directories have high domain authority, meaning that if you're doing a branded search, for example, your name, company, and say, or just doing a generic search like BA loans in Chicago, a lot of times if you fill out the profile correctly with those, we call them keywords, it'll show up in search, and then ideally you want your 5-star reviews to show up as well. So I'd just say pick a couple of platforms, some of those major ones we touched on, and then kind of go in your backlog at some of your favorite clients and partners and just start asking for feedback. And you'd be surprised how willing people are willing to help you out when you do.
Well, that's great insight. That's great insight. And Roberto, if you're still on the line, you have anything to add? I mean, obviously, reputation management is something you've spoken about at times too, and obviously the video impact of how you can manage your reputation by providing consistent information offers an interesting augment to the conversation. Do you have anything you'd want to add?
Well, what has working for us, for our company, we have hundreds of online. Can you guys hear me okay?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We have hundreds and hundreds of video testimonials, and there has been, so before we actually meet a prospective client, that's something you can do. Let's say you have testimonials from several realtors, influential realtors or consumers. You can elegantly, very elegantly, include an email signature, and then if you go to a meeting, and they can help you a lot. I have testimonials. People say, come on, Roberto, people don't watch video testimonials. I have thousands of views in our video testimonials, so people watch it. So I believe it. what Chik said. I love his presentation, and I would, in addition to make sure you start getting reviews, like Chik said, I would encourage you to get consumers and realtors their testimonials and start pumping your YouTube channel for sure.
Well, thanks, Roberto, and thanks, Chik, for your perspective today. I hope all the members on the line really take action on what was shared. I personally look forward to feedback. Again, I can always be reached at joe@mortgagecoach.com. Thanks so much for all the answers to the poll questions. I hope everyone did enjoy the call, and anyone that does have feedback, always be sure to share. We are going to continue to fill our agenda of these coaching calls with some wonderful speakers in the near future. I hope everyone attends those sessions as well. Thanks, Roberto. Thanks, Chik.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.